what I do. African-born people in the entire United States. So there was less than a football stadium full of black people born in Africa in the United States. And the number was so small, it was statistically irrelevant. Now compare that to the 19 million black Americans who are already living here. And immigration from Latin America was more frequent, but it was highly racialized. It was subject to very harsh enforcement. Mexican immigrants who were largely mestizo, and we call them mestizo above the border, and below the border they call them Criollas. Okay, so and these are Mexicans of mixed descent. They were disposable labor. We would use them and get rid of them. They had something called Operation Wetback. All right, the U.S. government literally deported Mexicans back. They literally pushed Mexicans who were American-born citizens into Mexico. The Mexican repatriation of 1930s, it resulted in the forced removal over 1 million Mexicans. Again, these are U.S.-born citizens of Mexican descent, and they pushed them back to Mexico. Central and South America immigration before 1960, it was limited almost entirely to the white elite, the business owners, the professors, and the clergy. Afro-Latinos were nearly invisible. There was no Spanish-speaking black people around here. It was a rarity. And they faced racial barriers in both their home countries and the U.S. Latin American immigration was not a major demographic force before 1965. Asians were nearly non-existent. Okay, they were less than 1%. Africans were less than 1%. Caribbeans were less than 1%. The vast majority of the immigrants coming to this country was European. They were 85% of the immigrants. Latin America was somewhere between 10 and 12. And this system was specifically engineered to protect America's white European demographic identity. And then came 1965. Just as our black American brothers and sisters, our grandfathers and grandmothers were beginning to crack the walls of this systematic racist system, the demographic floodgates opened. And the truth is plain. Black Americans had cracked the moral foundation of white supremacy with our blood, sweat, and our lives. But it was others, immigrants from all corners of the globe who walked through the breach and claimed the spoils. And they arrived in the cities where black communities had just begun to build power, like New York and LA and Chicago. And they competed for the sources, the same resources, the same jobs, the same political favor. And some of them even joined, some of them joined hands with black Americans in solidarity. And big shout out to those Caribbean brothers and sisters who came through. Big shout out to them and African brothers, okay. Some of them came through, they married. Some of y'all got some Caribbean family members right now. And we all right with that. Enjoy your curry goat. But the bottom line is they still competed for the same resources and the same jobs and the same political favor. And although some joined, some did not. Many adopted the anti-black prejudices that this country had always taught them to adopt. And this is not hate, okay? This is not xenophobia, family. That's not what we're talking about today. Okay, this is history, and history is not always kind. And the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1965 was transformative. It was a transformative piece of legislation. But it was made possible only because black Americans had forced America to confront its moral rot. And the tragedy is that once those doors were open, the very people who forced them open were trampled in the rush to get through. So beginning in the 1960s, just after the smoke from Watts was still in the air and the ink on the Civil Rights Voting Act was barely dried, a new wave of immigration began flowing into the United States. And this wave was no accident. It was policy. And the targets of its impact will be none other than the same people who have fought, bled, and died for America to find its moral footing, and that's foundational Black Americans. And they brought them in so they can flood us out. They brought them in so they can water our culture down, the same culture that had been so successful in forcing America to change. They had to dilute it. So right along with COINTELPRO, right along with the crack epidemic, right along with flooding our communities with drugs, they let in all these immigrants. And nobody ever talks about that because it's distasteful, because we have this Pan-African bend, and we don't want to ever say anything about our African brothers and sisters, or our Latin brothers and sisters, Black and Brown Coalition, right? We don't ever want to talk about it, but I'm gonna talk about it. That 1965 Immigration and Nationality Act, it created a legal pathway for non-European immigrants from Africa, the Caribbean, China, other parts of Asia and Latin America to come in here. Again, at first, the numbers were modest, okay? But by the 1970s, especially into the 1980s and the 1990s, the floodgates opened wide. Between 1980 and 2005, the African-born population in the United States, it grew by over 750%. They went from 130,000 people in 1980 to 1 million. That is huge. The Caribbean-born Black population grew steadily from the 1970s onward, with the largest concentration in New York, Miami, and Boston. And where did these newcomers settle? They didn't go live with the white folks. They moved right in the middle of what FBAs had built, the urban centers birthed by the Great Migration, and tempered in the furnace of the Civil Rights Movement. They moved to Harlem. They moved to Bed-Stuy, Flatbush, Crown Heights. They moved to South Central LA. They moved to Third Ward. They moved to Southwest Atlanta. They moved to Chicago's South Side. They moved to Detroit's West Side. These weren't just zip codes. These were sacred spaces. They were places where foundational Black Americans had endured redlining, water hoses, COINTELPRO, surveillance, police batons, and economic sabotage. Yet they still managed to create culture and build family and launch movements and demand justice. But these new arrivals, they weren't stepping in solidarity. They were stepping in a system that had been quietly reprogrammed to reward their distance from us. You understand me? Now let's talk about New York. Where are my people at from New York? Where my New Yorkers at? Yo, what's up? Where you from, son? All the people from the 5 boroughs. Come on, represent your borough. Where's New York? Come on, New York, talk to me. Shout out to Distress Smith. I love New York. I visited New York back in 2014, man. I had such a great time in New York, the rooftop parties. Love New York. Waiting for them to clear it out a little bit. But did you know, as of 2020, the total Black population of the state of New York was approximately 2.98 million, almost 3 million people. That represents about 15% of the state's total population. Shout out to Downrange. Among this group, about 900,000 are Black immigrants born outside the United States in regions like Africa. Let me say that again. You got nearly 100,000 Black people in New York born in another country. What's up, what's up, what's up? Welcome to the broadcast. This is Uncle D. People wash their ass in the tub, Kamala Harris.
You would tune in to Uncle D. D. This black man talk, pull up homie, take a seat. Don't be a shadow watcher every day. You learn something and you earn something. And let them know and drop some money in the plate. It's getting cold, ladies talking ratchet. There's a king here, grab your coat, zip your jacket. Keep quiet for a second, close your jaw. Attorney Spurling, this ain't pearly, know the law. Talking Constitution, pushing pins when he shootin', give him that. Masculinity, just for the record, sprinkle that. You can keep your cat, gotta cut it. Only cat he rubbing, gotta love it. I call it Holly Buddy. Gotta vote your interest, vote and earn. Presidential, this is for the money that I earn. When you gon' learn, my people, that evil mixed with evil. No matter what you're doing, baby, this ain't equal. Sometimes when you're special, you get hated. The test is for the best, you're damn right, my people made it. Uncle D, Blizzard King, you been served, gotta notice now. Black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now. Uncle D, you been served, get your notice now. Black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now. Uncle D, you been served, get your notice now. Black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now. Uncle D, you been served, get your notice now. Black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now.
Hey man, I'll do what I do.
Somebody need to whip your ass.
Get up and whip him, Sweets.
Hey, don't be putting the money in my hand all rough.
Take your ass out here. You buy you a Flowbee and cut your own damn hair from now on.